Our flat purchase fell through, and here's why. Let's go back in time. My partner and I, we made an offer on a flat in mid-February this year, 2025, and it was accepted. Well, actually, originally it wasn't accepted. We made an offer. They asked us to up the offer, well, if we want to. So we upped the offer, and then the offer was accepted. The next step was to get the mortgage in place and to get the home survey in place. So we started the process, and I want to give you an idea how long all of these things take. So all in all, between the offer being accepted and all the tests about the flat, which I'm about to tell you, being done, it took 2 months. So it was in the middle of April that the flat purchase fell through, 2 months after the initial agreement, and I'm going to explain to you why. I want to take you through the process of what happens after you have an offer accepted. So first of all, if you're not a cash buyer, you have your mortgage in principle, but that doesn't actually mean that you get the mortgage. You then have to agree with the bank to have a meeting and go through all the details. And this is much more thorough than I expected. So once we had the offer accepted, we rang the bank and we made an appointment, and we were able to get an appointment about a week after the phone call, which I thought was quite quick. And the meeting is actually 2 hours. And to be honest, after the 2 hours, it's meant to be 2 hours, but in the end it was 3 hours, because as the 2 hours came to a finish, she said that actually there's there's a lot more to discuss and we need to set another date. So in the end, it was 2 phone calls and 3 hours in total. And then it took about 10 days to have the mortgage approved. Then we booked the home survey. So because we didn't actually know whether the mortgage gets approved or not, and also because this is our first time doing it, so we have no clue, really. Everything's new. We waited for the mortgage to get approved because we were like, if the mortgage doesn't get approved, then what's the point of doing the survey? And anyway, so it got approved about 2 weeks from the accepted offer. Then we booked the home survey. So the way it works is that you, well, at least with the company that we chose, we booked it through their website and we gave all the details that they needed, and I think all they really needed was the details of the real estate agent. And then it was between the real estate agent and the seller to agree on a date for this home survey. So I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, but I do know that the seller is quite a busy person. So I think that's why it took another 2 weeks to actually have a date in the books for the survey. So I thought that was a long time. I don't know if it is. Please let me know in the comments about your experience. And once the appointment was done, it took another week for the home survey actually being completely written up and sent to us, which is fair enough. There was also a weekend in between. So basically, a month passed until we got the results, until we had more information on the flat. The report came back and there were various red flags in the report, which of course at first really worried us, but then we also said to ourselves, okay, let's calm down and really factually look at this. And I also had 2 friends of mine look at it as well, which was very helpful. And basically some things that were flagged, but they weren't as bad as they originally sounded. But there was one main thing that could have been an issue and a few other things. So the main thing that was flagged was asbestos in the ceilings, in the coating of the ceiling of the flat. So it did say in the report to hire a professional to get this tested. And the other thing that was flagged that was a concern as well was the electrics and the gas meter. I'm not an electrician and I don't know exactly, but I think I actually wrote it down for you. The gas meter was in a prepayment form. I don't know if that's actually a problem, but a friend of mine said it could be a problem. The other thing was the gas meter had no earth bonding, which increases the risk of the fuse board was not up to current electrical safety standards. I may as well tell you the other issues. Balcony wasn't up to safety standards, and I actually spoke to the housing association and they weren't going to do anything about it. They weren't even going to acknowledge it. The toilet needed fixing, which I'm not sure why the current owner didn't do it, because if it's not a big thing then he should get his toilet leak fixed. And the shower bath handles didn't work, which is another thing he said wasn't a big deal, but then again, why didn't he fix it if it wasn't a big deal? So anyway, but the main two things were the potential for asbestos and the electricals. So what we decided to do, we said to each other we weren't going to step away at this point because we were quite keen on this flat and also moving, because we want to move quite soon. But as we thought about it further, we realized we need to get two things checked: the electricals and the asbestos. So I went online to find out how to do that and how to do that cost effective. Just to give you an idea, at this point we had invested about £500 for the home survey, and I was trying to find out in the most cost effective way how we could figure out if there is asbestos or not. So I went online and I found out that there are home tests for asbestos and they cost £50. So I decided to order a home test and get an appointment with the seller. So I went over and followed the protocol of doing this home test. I got a sample and I sent in the sample. So again, that took time. Between getting a sample, getting an appointment with the seller and getting the results of the sample, I think it was about another 10 days or so, maybe 12 days. And also I got in touch with an electrician to go to the flat and give me a quote on how much it would cost to get the electricals up to standard. So the asbestos test came back and it was positive. That's obviously no good. And I was almost ready to step back. My boyfriend wanted to get quotes on how much it would cost to remove the asbestos. So I got some quotes and it depends on... Wait, I wrote it down for you. So depending on, and we didn't actually know what it was, whether the ceiling is concrete or plasterboard. So if it was concrete, it would have been around £4,000, and if it was plasterboard, plus VAT, so plus tax, and if it was plasterboard, it would have been around £3,000 plus tax. But that would only take the asbestos away, and then the ceiling actually would have to be redone. So in the end, I didn't get quotes for that because that was more or less the end of it. The electrician quoted me around £700, but he wasn't sure if that would be it because he only could check the place at surface level, so he couldn't tell if there was more to do. And then the other thing was, we only tested the potential asbestos in the ceiling of the flat. However, the surveyor said that he suspects asbestos in the garage and the communal areas as well. So at that point, we took another 2 to 3 days to think about everything, but we knew where we were heading, and our friends also said we should probably step away because it's a big thing. And yes, asbestos is only a problem if it is touched, or if it is, if it stays in place and it's untouched, then it doesn't necessarily have to be a problem. But the other thing that the report raised was that there were cracks in the ceiling, which means that there were cracks in the asbestos, and the tiny little particles that go into the air, you don't see them. So we wouldn't know how much asbestos is in the air or how it would affect us. And so the other thing is that the seller said that he had no idea about this, and the management who I spoke to also said they had no idea about this. Now, this management had been organizing various flats of the same kind for years, and I'm not sure if I believe that he really had no clue. I'm also not sure if I believe that the seller really had no clue, because when he bought the flat a few years ago, it could have been raised in the report. Maybe it wasn't, but it could have been. And maybe he just didn't get it tested because he thought it's probably nothing. And you can't see asbestos with your bare eyes, but if you see a certain pattern, there is a 50 to 75% chance that it is asbestos, and I'm going to insert a picture here so that you know what it looks like. So I wanted to mention something else. If you are looking to buy a flat in the UK, any buildings that are built between 1930 and 1999, which is when asbestos was banned, you have to be careful and ask questions and keep your eyes and ears open, and choose a good surveyor as well. I mean, I'm so grateful to the surveyor that he spotted this, because yeah, it could be an issue. Just because it was banned in 1999 and people knew about it doesn't mean that people took the time, energy and money to actually get it removed. And as you can see from my story, in this case, the agent, the seller and the management, all three pretended they didn't know, and maybe they didn't, but maybe they did, and they're not. Even though it is illegal not to declare it when you know it, there's no one going around to actually press charges if they do, and so you have to really look out for yourself. The other thing, because we're going to a viewing today and it's a new build flat, my friend said to me last night, you also have to be aware about cladding with flats that have been built in the past 10 years. She said that, because the flat we're looking at today was finished in 2021, that if it was built after, I think she said after 2015, it's okay, but before that you have to be careful. And you probably remember cladding got into the forefront of people's minds when the tragedy of Grenfell Towers happened. So it is really sad that something always seems to have to happen before people realize that something is wrong or that something needs changing. And again, just like what I said about the asbestos, because people are aware about the cladding now doesn't mean that it has been taken care of, because it takes money to change it. However, you need to make sure that you need to know if it's there or not, and some buildings say in the advertisement that they have a certain certificate which certifies that it has been removed, and I can't remember what it was called, but I'm going to insert it here as well. So all in all, with everything that popped up and with the seller being quite avoidant, and like most questions I asked, he was always like, oh, I don't know about this, oh, I just never look at the electricals, oh, that's not a big fix, but he hasn't done it. I got a really bad gut feeling about it, and that's when I knew, no, we have to pull out of this. This is not gonna work. And so this is why the sale in the end fell through. So I hope you enjoyed me sharing this with you. I hope if you are looking for a flat that this helped in one way or another, that you really need to be careful and look out for yourself. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more videos, and see you next time. Bye!